Well, hello, Catherine Langman here. Welcome back for another episode of the Productpreneur Success Podcast. It's fantastic to have you here as always. And today, let me start by asking you what I hope is not a difficult question. Have you ever felt a little bit overwhelmed by all the things that you should be doing in your business, but maybe not knowing or feeling confident about which things are the most important to get done, or feeling a little bit unsure about if you're spending time on, the right activities that will actually help you grow? I've been speaking to so many women entrepreneurs in particular this past few weeks who have they have these amazing visions for their business, and they're just, they're really ambitious about hitting some big growth goals, especially those who are building what I call brands with purpose. They're feeling like, and they know that the bigger they grow, the bigger impact that they can have, the bigger positive impact they can have on the people that they serve in their audience, which is super motivating. But these women are just stressed out and exhausted and burnt out. And it's not always the number of hours that they're working that is stressing them out either. It's the fact that they just have so many different projects on the go, and they have so many great ideas for marketing or for new products or whatever, and they just feel really overwhelmed about what they should spend their time on. I guess there's almost that probably unspoken intention that it's all urgent and it all needs to be done now, and that can be super overwhelming. And it's also very common for these sorts of ambitious women to feel like they need to be in control of doing everything themselves, and that it's not really okay to ask for help, because by doing so is somehow a failure. And I know that logically we know, none of us believe that, but it is very common for us to act like that. And of course, I will preempt this and say these are generalizations, and I don't imagine that all of you are all like that. But if you do feel a little bit overwhelmed in your business right now, if you're feeling a little bit burnt out and maybe losing your passion a little bit for what you do, then I really want you to tune into today's episode. Today on the show, I'm joined by a guest, the lovely Tanya Boots from Inspirational Tea Co, which is just the most stunning brand of tea gifts. And Inspirational Tea Co is also a brand with purpose, designed to really uplift and inspire and share a little bit of love and kindness in the world. But whilst building her business, Tanya has also been on a journey of finding balance and sustainability in the way that she runs her business, so that she can stay the course over the long term. And in our conversation today, she shares some of the challenges that she's faced and the lessons that she's learned the hard way that have ultimately helped her become more focused on what is the most important for her in her business and in her life. She's a mother as well, and with the end result being that she's now operating a much more sustainable business. And I'm talking sustainable in terms of the financial side and funding her growth and profitably, and also sustainable in terms of the way she works personally, so that she can maintain her energy and her passion and love for her work. And who else doesn't want to operate like that? If you are a hell yes, then pull up a pew, pour yourself a cuppa, entirely appropriate for this episode, and I want you to listen to Tanya's story. Now, just quickly before Tanya joins me, please let me share quickly how you can get your hands on an awesome free resource that will really help you grow your business of your dreams and also achieve those goals of yours in a sustainable way. My ultimate e-commerce marketing planning guide teaches you how to create a very simple but effective marketing plan in just 5 steps. And this process will help you to work out what you should be focusing your efforts on, so that you don't feel like you need to be doing doing or implementing all the possible ideas at once. And so you'll be able to rock your growth goals for your e-commerce brand without spending all of your time in the business and leaving nothing left for your family or for yourself at the end of the day. So to get your copy, all you need to do, and it's free by the way, just head to catherinelangman.com/planning, and you'll be able to get an instant free copy for yourself today. All right, so without further ado, let's welcome Tanya onto the show. Welcome to the show, Tanya. It's really great to have you here. Finally, we've made it happen.
Yes, it's very good to be here.
So good. So how about we kick off with you just giving our audience and our listeners just a little bit of an introduction to yourself and, you know, what's your business and what do you sell, and just kind of that overview to kick us off.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Tanya Boots. I'm the founder of Inspirational Tea Co. We are a tea gifting business. So, you know, those occasions when you have a friend or a family member who's perhaps going through a tough time or celebrating, and all you want to do is go and give them, put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, give them a hug, but you can't for whatever reason. Well, we kind of do it for you. So we have these hug in a mug tea gift boxes, and they're full of tea, including our tea bags with inspirational quotes on the tags, tea wares, biscuits, and a few little surprises. And so you can send those off and know that that person knows that you're thinking of them, and that you know, they can be a bit uplifted by it.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I want to ask you, no pun intended, of course, but what was the inspiration that led to starting this business?
Yeah, sure. I've always wanted to have my own business. 20-year corporate career, but in and out, and always just full of ideas. Too many ideas sometimes, I think.
Yes.
But my daughter brought home, it was Mother's Day, and she was in about year 6. She's year 10 now. And she brought home these little tea bags with quotes on the tags with, you know, comments like "best mum ever" and "love your mum," stapled onto the tea bag tags.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what a lovely way to express a message at the same time as you enjoy a routine. And for me, you know, growing up in a tea loving family, the standard entry to our family, you know, anyone's house is,
Yeah.
shall I put the
What do you
kettle
drink?
on? Yeah,
How do you take your tea?
exactly. And I've always also used tea from a work point of view as my little break too. But yeah, there's been times when I've been in jobs with back-to-back meetings, and I would go and get myself a cup of tea just to have that kind of moment of calm, clear my head.
Bit of a breather.
Yeah, a bit of a breather. And so I just thought, what a great way to combine, you know, a message and some words to make you sort of stop and think, with a routine such as tea, and combine that into something that's a little bit self-care. That's where it came from. And then the hug in a mug, that was born of the pandemic, you know, probably like a few things.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was, people obviously couldn't get together for their celebrations, and they were, you know, missing each other. And there's a lot of tea drinkers out there. That's the second most consumed beverage in the world.
Is it really?
It is.
What's the most? Beer or something?
Yeah, I'm sure beer is not too far away. But yeah, so out of the pandemic, I sort of stumbled on an idea to pull together something tea related. And the hug in a mug piece was known. That was a known thing. Yeah, I just, the way that people embrace hug in a mug, cup of tea, sometimes coffee as well, but that sort of calming, sending a hug, it all kind of came together. And honestly, the first goes at it was pretty laughable, which, you know, you're not starting early enough if it's not laughable.
That's the perfect
right?
philosophy, you know. You've got to you don't wait to get it perfect, you just got to get it going, right?
That's right. And I had boxes and I had stickers and all the rest of it. But it struck a nerve, and that's how it kind of all began.
Obviously you've got the whole packaging thing sorted now, because we can see it in the background there, and you know, I just think the branding is beautiful. It would feel very special to receive a box like that, I think.
I had we did a rebrand about a year ago, and I think my amazing designer Hayley, really brought to life what I was trying to communicate, which is a bit whimsical, a little bit Alice in Wonderland. We get a lot of that, just that kind of kindness coming through, and the packaging's amazing. And it is one of the things that I think stops the scroll, you know, when they see our most powerful picture of all the ads I've ever done is lady holding the
Yes.
pink box.
Yes.
You know, sending you a hug and a mug is the message.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous. So I actually can't remember when you started the business. Just, you know, we'll dive into the highlight reel of your journey, but how long ago was that now?
Well, we've had a few iterations. When I was thinking about this, I realised, you know, there's been a few changes, and that's a good thing. I started out in 2017, actually. So went from the idea around stapling the tags from my daughter, from her gift. And then I went out and took a bunch of photos and found quotes and cut up cardboard and had a glue gun and was sticking individual tags to tea bags. That was pretty laborious, I have to say.
Yes, I bet. Oh my goodness. Now it's all done for you, right?
Yeah. I had a brand name which was very meaningful to me, Monji Tea. And, you know, I was packaging things up and sending it off to family and friends. And then I stumbled on, I thought, right, let's do something more with this. So I found a printer and a great design guy in Perth, and they developed this hand-folded tag that was kind of origami style. So you would, so the glue gun went,
yes,
and instead we were folding something, around the tags. Still not particularly scalable, but it was beautiful. I had beautiful artwork. I've always had artists and poets contribute to the product. And so that started out. And then I was actually, this is where my association with women's community shelters in New South Wales began, because I was living in Sydney at the time. And I always wanted to do something, and helping women's always felt very close to my heart. So I would go into the shelters with and employ the ladies in the shelters at the time to do the hand folding of the tags.
I love it.
And so we'd sit in these, like these, we called them sort of tea yarning circles, and we'd make them a cup of tea and we put the music on and they'd just sit there folding. It's very therapeutic, just doing something like that.
I imagine that you'd get into a state of flow almost.
Yes, very much so. And the conversation would sort of go around, and it was really nice. So I took that to a few trade shows and did that. And then we moved to the Gold Coast. And I sort of, at the time, I wanted to do something a bit more scalable. I'd hopped back into work, full-time work for a bit, so it became a bit of a side hustle. But then I was, I had some time on my hands, and I did a rebrand to Inspirational Tea Co, largely because I wanted to make it a bit clearer about what was different about us. And then got what I called, I've still got the folder in my laptop, but the Holy Grail, which was the different quotes on tags without me manually having to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I figured out how to do that, and then sort of did my first lot. And then in October, just last year, I launched with the Inspirational Tea Co and redid all the gift boxes and made them precise, and spent a lot of time getting the right size and all the rest of it. And that's where I am, today.
Yeah. So, I mean, in reality, it's not a long time, it's quite a short period of time that you've been able to build this up. So,
I guess particularly with the new brand, and particularly as I spent kind of 2 years with it as a side hustle, where it was just something I might do in the evenings or the weekends. It has, you forget that, I think, as a business owner, to look back and go, gosh, I've come so far, and I've learned so much, and to celebrate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little bit of the entrepreneurial's curse to always have the ideas and aim for what's next, and not necessarily take a moment to reflect on, what we've just achieved, or, milestones along the way. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to keep looking to the future and moving forwards, of course, but sometimes taking those moments are important too. So that's exciting. So when you reflect, and I know you have been reflecting on your journey because we've had this conversation in the calendar coming up, what would you say would be maybe like the three most difficult situations or scenarios or just problems that you've had to figure out along the way? What would those be that you can remember?
I remember them well because they were quite recent. Yeah, I did that wonderful thing where you try to scale and grow too fast and run out of cash and run out of stock. So pretty sure I'm not the first. I won't be the last. But it was probably around, I think, April this year. It was a tough time because it's my biggest. Mother's Day is my biggest selling event. And there is a lag with getting tea from India. Turns out it being
and I guess worse
primary
this year too, right now.
Worse this year with shipping, but you got to wait for the rains and then the the plucking, and you forget, right? It's a product. It's a living, breathing product until it's picked.
And I guess very dependent on weather and humans.
Correct. Very dependent on weather. So the rains were late, so the plucking was later, and then the shipping was a nightmare. And meanwhile, I'd fired up the engines for Mother's Day, and invested in marketing, invested in stock, invested in everything, labor. And I ran out of stock.
And you ran out of stock. Yeah.
So that was tricky.
That was right before Mother's Day too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
And there's always substitutes and things I could do, and that's what I did. So when we talk about how did I get through that, I did as much substituting as possible. It turned down the fire a bit on the marketing, and just, I guess, kind of regrouped. And I think, to be fair, I mean, I'm a teacup half full kind of girl, but it was a great opportunity for me to really interrogate the cash flow of the business and get fully on top of that, get some strategies in place, seek help. Seek help. Definitely was a good one. And get some systems in place. So inventory management systems. I delegated.
How did you do that when it is just because I know that there would be a lot of listeners who have businesses where there are components that come into the product. How do you manage that with your business?
Yeah, it's a good question, because with gift boxes, you sell one product in Shopify, but sitting behind that is several different components.
Yes.
And then if I have a mug, I wrap that. So I've got boxes and I've got all the things that if I'm out of one thing, it can stop me from sending out a $90 gift box. So you don't want that to happen. So within Shopify, I played around with a few different apps, but I finally found some good ones that allowed me to set up something in the background that was attached to the sale, so that each time there was a sale of a box, it would trigger an inventory hit on all of the components that made the box up. So a game changer, but there's a lot of setup involved, and there was a lot of finding the right product, and I still haven't got it perfect, but that's what I did.
Yeah, you're moving forward anyways.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah. So that was a tricky time, and I think having come from a long, corporate career, it's always there dangling, going, maybe you should go back to that. Maybe you should go back to that.
Some moments it seems like the easier option, doesn't it?
It does.
Better option.
Yeah. But I had some people, I think I, again, gravitated to some people who I needed to share more about the business with. It was all very much me, me.
Yeah.
What I needed from that was to just bounce ideas, but also for them to say to me, gosh, this is worth pursuing, stay the course. You've got I had some little nuggets. I've got amazing reviews, and customer service is really high on my values list, and has served me well. And so I think, putting in systems, seeking help, getting on top of my cash flow, and getting a few strategies in place around that, and getting some sort of long-term view, like
Yeah.
crunching the numbers and going, this will pass. I've just loaded up my storeroom with tea.
Yes, excellent.
So,
In time
yeah,
for lead into Christmas, which is awesome.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, anything can happen. I've also got backups for most of my stock items too, and a much better list of suppliers that I can go to.
Excellent. So some contingencies in place.
That's
so
right.
That, that situation earlier in the year hopefully will never happen again.
Yeah. And the other thing I learned, and I got this off a podcast, I'm always listening to podcasts. Yours is one of my favorites, of course. But someone said, I, as a business owner, knew that I had control over the pace of growth.
Yes.
And I that's so obvious, right? But I hadn't really thought of it like that. Here I was just shooting for the stars. And I went, actually, no, I don't have to do that. This can be sustainable growth, and it probably should be.
Yes.
So maybe just lower my targets a little bit and get things,
or maybe extend the time frame that you allow yourself to get to that, perhaps. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, throughout this time building this business so far, what has been that big vision that you have been, what is it that kind of motivates you and pulls you forward? Because we need to have something that sustains us through those tough times.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Like I'm very ambitious. I'm very driven. I want this to be something that I build on and can have a life around that. So this business supports the lifestyle that I want is number one.
Yes.
And I have this vision in my head of, and this really sustains me, of, I grow and I hire more people, and I have this, beautiful, light, airy space, and it's a space for women and for community, and I hire amazing women, potentially, older women who can't find good employment, or mums wanting to do school hours, and we have plants and music pumping, and we kind of, we sit around and we pack and deliver kindness. Really is what we're doing. We are the carriers of kindness. And I think that sustains me, and the gift notes that I see on a day-to-day basis, that sustains me, of knowing that we can be uplifting, and I'd like to reach more people. I'd like to do that with more people.
So good. I mean, I think you and I really are on the same plane there, with that value and desire to be able to employ women and to empower women in that way. So that's really exciting to hear that for you too. So obviously, you're a business in progress and there's a lot still to do, but you have achieved success already as well. And so what would you say are the things that have really contributed to that so far, and really shifted the needle the most in your business?
Most definitely figuring out the problem that I solve, or that our gift boxes solve, and articulating that in the right way. I'm a massive Donald Miller story brand fan.
I love that book. Yes.
And that was just game changing for me to sit down and write that out. And it's impacted. I then went straight from that and wrote like a Facebook ad, and it was, you play around with plenty of words, but that one I just got there, and I was really clear on what problem I was solving, which is, ultimately someone wants to communicate that they're thinking about someone, and they can't be there in person. So this is something that my gift boxes are something that they can use. And so that was probably number one, getting really clear on that. The branding, investing in beautiful packaging, and it was always designed to be a little bit premium, because there's plenty of tea out there, let's face it, but we needed it to be just a little bit elevated, and so that it was designed to go into more of a gifting than necessarily sitting on a Woolies or Coles shelf.
No, exactly.
Doesn't really belong there.
No.
Yeah. So definitely getting the right designer and the right vision.
And imagery as well. I think
Yes.
you did invest in some photography as well, I think.
Yes. I actually I applied for a grant and got $5,000. It's a Queensland grant, and invested all of that into the most amazing photography, and I do not regret that for 1 minute. It's served me so well. So that was a game changer. Also, I think consistently great customer service. I've always really prioritized that. Fast shipping, responding. A lot of my customers are a little bit older. Some of them aren't all great with online. So I'm really open to phone orders, and I get the most wonderful stories about where it's going and who it's going to and why it's going to them. And I love chatting to them.
I should tell my mum to get onto you then. She can't do online ordering.
Yeah. And it does get a bit complex, when you're building a box, and I can help them. I can guide them through. And Katie, my fabulous helper as well, so she helps me out. It took me a long time to do this, but I've sort of got a coach, got a few coaches that sort of helped. And also I have a network I reached out to, and I'm a bit of a solo operator, so this really pushes me to go and find a network.
So typical for women in business. We want to do everything ourselves, and I think it comes from that ingrained compulsion to look after everything.
Yeah, I know, and we have
to let go. We need to delegate. We need to allow other people to help us. Yeah.
And I look at my hubby. He's in quite senior sort of sales, and I just watch him work his network. It's great to watch. Rather than I could spend 10 hours learning how to do something, he'll pick up the phone and find someone who knows what to do and figure it out. So I learned from that. I went to a network, a business chicks network, actually, on the Gold Coast. And met a bunch of girls through that, and they are so supportive. And I have to mention my friend Emma Lovell, who just pushes me to get out there. Put your face out there and come to this networking event and meet people. And I'm like,
I'm so glad you know Emma. She's one of the best humans on the planet,
isn't she? I know, she's a wonder to watch, and she's so supportive. So I've learned a lot, and those girls, we all have each other's backs, and you need that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And then finally, I think I actually figured out that I could use what I did in my previous life in my business. And so I got really granular on, because that's sort of an analyst and category management, it's called. And so I got really granular on the gift boxes and how they fit, how much they weighed. I really put some effort and time into figuring that out, all to create future efficiencies.
Excellent.
And that was a really and when you're packing, however many a day, it makes a big difference.
It makes an enormous difference. And I definitely see that too. The ability to document the way things are done in a way that you can train other people is what enables businesses to scale more efficiently and profitably as well, which is hard when you are packing components. You have to be able to get other people to do it as close to as efficiently as you can. So
that's right. And there's the sustainability aspect as well. I don't want to be sending a whole bunch of stuff out into the world, so we are almost 100% plastic free, and try to minimize the use of filler and that sort of thing. So the whole box can be pretty much put into the recycling.
No, you can't put that beautiful box in the recycling. Maybe the wrapping.
Keep it, reuse it. You're gorgeous.
I know. So obviously I bought one for my girlfriend who was going through a bit of a tough time, and her daughter uses that box. You know, she keeps it. So
Oh, I love hearing stories like that. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
my daughter
Yeah.
does that sort of thing all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of with inspirational quotes of people pulling them off and sticking them up around their desk or something like that. Yeah, I get the most wonderful feedback, and oh my God, that just sustains you, doesn't it? You could be having a tough day, and then I get an email or something, a review, and of someone who received a gift box, and there were tears, and they were
Yeah.
so overwhelmed that you go, right, yeah,
Yeah, you're making a
this is
difference in the world,
making a
which is,
difference.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
so important. I love that. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of business owners who listen to this podcast and, you know, they're at various stages in their business
yeah,
journey, but, you know, it's always really helpful and inspiring to hear other people's stories and just take little nuggets from other people's experience as well that can be helpful. So if you were to give some advice either to yourself, you know, earlier in the journey, or to somebody else that, you know, is kind of coming up in your wake, you know, I don't want to say shadow at all because everyone's doing something different, but what would you say to help somebody else on that journey? And probably another woman, given my audience.
yeah, no, for sure. Um, Yeah, oh gosh, if I had my time again, there's a
Mm,
lot of things I do differently, but
mm,
I think the key ones would be it's starting with whatever you're going to do. If you're really solving a solving a need, and it's really easy to articulate that, then your life will be so much easier because, you know, in the ecom digital world, you need a story, you need to stand out, and being able to solve a problem does that. We don't have the funds to build big brand campaigns, etc. So you can be scrappy, but so long as you're saying you've got a problem, I understand your problem, and I can solve it, you'll get attention. So definitely that to start with. The second thing, then I see this a lot, is it's not, you know, it's not like Field of Dreams. If you with your website, if you build it, they won't come, you know, necessarily. um, so set aside some money to drive traffic to it,
yes.
or figure out some ways to do it for free. And there
Yeah.
are ways to do it for free, you know,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah. SEO, all, yeah. Getting on
Yeah,
the socials,
social
networking.
media, yeah, and you know, reels and all the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you can grab a great website that's off the shelf. I'm on Shopify, it's amazing, but yeah, just make sure you know that there's nothing worse than sitting at your screen going, gosh, got a beautiful website, and then crickets, you know. At least if you get
Usually,
people to it.
yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, I think usually the websites that I see that are getting absolute crickets, obviously there is that not doing the right things to drive traffic, but also oftentimes they haven't actually personalized the website, you know, and usually that requires the imagery. So, you know, I
Yes.
do think that you did an amazing job with that, and that served you very well.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
no, that's true. So that I the other thing is kind of spend time on the boring stuff. So that's thinking about your product and how much it weighs, freight, the cash flow plan, inventory systems, all that kind of stuff is
It is necessary. I hope
worthwhile. Yeah.
I hope everyone's listening there. Anyone who's allergic to spreadsheets, you know, you just have to find some way to get your head
Yeah.
around this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, great example. My bestseller comes in at under the 1 kilogram mark,
Mm-hmm.
and that was deliberate. And so I save about $3 or $4 every time I ship it because it comes in under the 1 kilogram mark. So little things like that, you know, really add to your profitability. So I'm crystal clear on profit and profit margins.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then do something that you love. Like I would hate it if I had to spend days, weekends, etc., around something that I didn't love. So I've always loved tea, and I love tea parties. I love everything associated with tea. So I think that helps enormously.
Mm.
Um, Finding a network, talked earlier about that, but
Yeah.
that's really, really helped me, especially when you're, you know, a solopreneur.
Yes.
Um, investing in customer service, it does set you apart, and that is the thing as small business owners and e-com business owners that we can do better than the big guys.
Yes, 100%.
We are not, like I can be on the phone to someone, they speak to me by name. Often, you know, people will know me and know that I can help them, and know, I think that's really,
you become
really
nice. The go-to place for their gift purchases.
Exactly.
Over time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it does make a big difference. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Tanya, but you know, there are a lot of people I see who want to start an online business but be not visible at all themselves, and so they don't put anything on their about page saying who they are. They don't even put a name. There's nothing like that. There's no phone number. They just want to be anonymous and uncontactable. And as a customer, you know, one of the first things you do when you go to a new website is to go to those pages and find out who they are, as a, you know, what's the human behind it, and can you contact them if you need help. So you know, anyone who doesn't do that is putting themselves at a massive disservice. So
I agree. That's how I shop. I go to the About Us page. I find out about them. Usually I find out about them before I really know, you know, their product almost. So
it's a way of establishing trust and a little bit of you know, just connection before you go, I'm going to go buy from them.
And I sort of feel like I've been, in a way, Katie and I have been entrusted with passing on this gift from, you know, one person to another. So I think people like knowing that someone's wrapping it up with care and sending it out, you know, in a way that's on time, and it looks good. There's no, you know, it's got a few little surprises. So yes, being front and center was something I struggled with at first, but now I am making a complete idiot of myself on reels and whatever it takes.
I love it. I haven't looked at your reels in the recent weeks. I have to go and have a look.
No, it's all good learning.
So what about what's next then for you? So, I mean, goodness, obviously we're coming up for Christmas, and hopefully it's going to be a corker of a Christmas season for you, but 2023 is around the corner. So tell us what's next for you.
Big plans, but sustainable, a sustainable growth. I definitely I've learned my lesson on that one. For us, yes, looking to Christmas now, and the wheels are definitely in motion already for Christmas. We have to be very prepared very early. I am focused on building my following, especially my email list, and potentially introducing a few new gift boxes. We've just done a Christmas range, which is Christmas puns on the tags.
Oh, I love it. It's like the Christmas cracker version for tea.
Yeah, super cheesy, but there's little tiny boxes. There's one behind me.
Show us.
Oh yeah, like the perfect stocking.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
Stocking filler, Kris Kringle, all the rest of it. And there's so much scope around that and expanding that. We could do a Mother's Day one. We could, you know, come full circle, and I'm doing Mother's Day quotes on tea bags.
Yes.
So and that space I talked about before, I think that for me is the vision for 2023, is to expand and create that space, employ more people, get more people to experience our gift boxes. And, you know, I shouldn't say this last, it should come first, but find the balance in my personal life too, where I can do the things I want to do, have the business running in a way I want it to run, be able to take time out and have it supporting the lifestyle that I want.
I just would like to really highlight that for all the listeners, and just, you know, emphasize how important that is, because when you play the long game, you know, so many entrepreneurs, they hit burnout at about year 6 mark,
Yeah.
And, you know, in the early days, of course, we're all doing all the things and we're wearing all the hats and working crazy hours, but that's not sustainable. And you have to find that balance and that ability to get the help around yourself in your business, which obviously you're doing. So, yes, listeners, if you're not at that point yet, please make
Yeah, and don't be afraid. I mean, I went into I employed your team to help me to go from point 1 to point 10, you know, and they did such an amazing job, and I was able to step back and work on other things. And I think that, you know, that has allowed me to have more balance, to learn when to pass stuff off and to delegate stuff and to allow someone who's better at it to do it. Has been a big learning for me.
And hopefully get some of those systems in your marketing and that sort of thing in place as well for yourself. So that's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you today. I was going to ask a couple of extra ones, but we've definitely covered them already. Always, you know, one of my questions at the end is often, what advice would you give yourself back when you're in startup mode? We've definitely covered that one. So, but I really want to ask you, what do you feel is your, you know, the thing or things that you love the most about being a business owner and building your own brand, building that lifestyle for yourself? What do you love the most? It's really hard to pinpoint sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint the one thing, but I love the autonomy and the immediacy of a result. You know, you can put the effort in and you can immediately see the result. You're so close to your customer. In my corporate job, I was so far away from my customer, and in the day-to-day, getting great feedback is fantastic, and seeing something that you've built grow. I love that. I love the flexibility. I think those are probably the three: autonomy, flexibility, and the immediacy of a result that inspires me and keeps me going.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it is so important for us to just reflect on those things every now and again. Like I was saying earlier, you know, we have to have those things front of mind when times are a little bit tough, and it has been a hard year for a lot of people in various different ways. So it's really nice to hear for you that that's, you know, where you're at right now. Think back on that.
Cool. I've done along the way a little bit of consulting back in my old life, and now I used to work in corporate and have a side hustle in tea. I now have a tea business and have a side hustle in consulting, and I love that. Like it's changed my mindset. I feel really in control.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love it. Now, you gave us a little sneak peek of the Christmas thing just a minute ago, and we could see the beautiful packaging there. But for anyone who's listening who wants to go and have a bit more of a look, where would they find you online?
Yeah, sure. I'm on all the socials. It's at Inspirational Tea Co, and then my website, www.inspirationalteaco.com.au. But yeah, reach out, give me a call, have a chat, tell me what you want, build a box together. But yeah, everything on my website.
One super last quick question for you.
Yes.
What's your favourite tea?
Oh, yes. Gosh, it's like picking a favourite child.
Oh my goodness.
I've got two answers, of course. Moroccan mint first thing in the morning. I have that. I can get up early and drop my daughter at rowing and then watch the sun come up, having my Moroccan
I remember
mint.
now that you have a rower in your house.
That's right. Yeah, we have something in common.
Yes.
Rowers, swimmers. And then my afternoon generally, although I've had one this morning, the English breakfast. I just can't go past a good, solid, strong English breakfast, and it really does just calm me down. It's amazing.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the show with me today, Tanya. It's been a really great conversation, and I appreciate you making the time and sharing your stories today.
It's been fabulous, Catherine. Thank you so much for having me.